When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my husband died in a car accident. I didn't cry or throw a tantrum. Instead, I calmly pulled out my phone and first took out 10 million in online loans. The loan's interest compounded, and it ballooned into tens of millions in no time. I'm just a housewife. How could I possibly have the ability to repay? I tearfully recorded a suicide note video, then jumped into the sea to fake my death. Debt collectors took my video and went straight to the art exhibition my husband organized for his female buddy to demand payment. Upon seeing the bill, one of the guys' persona completely fell apart. The husband who faked his death is no longer calm. I'm dead and my debts are cleared, but he hasn't even closed his account yet. On the way back after dropping the kid off at kindergarten, my mother-in-law suddenly appeared, grabbed hold of me, and sobbed uncontrollably. Xiaoqian, I have some news for you. Don't cry, okay? God bless him, he's gone. After my mother-in-law finished speaking, she looked at me with eager anticipation, waiting for my reaction, but I froze for a split second, then swung my arm and slapped him hard. The slap was crisp, delivered with full force. She staggered backward from the blow, her face instantly flushing red, both shocked and furious. You hit me. The father-in-law's eyes widened, trembling with rage. In my past life, when I learned that my husband had been in a car accident and was mangled into pieces, I was stunned as if struck by lightning and fainted from crying on the spot. As soon as I woke up, I was kicking up a fuss about suing him. I want the driver to give me an explanation, but was stopped by her parents-in-law. The driver is a pitiful man. He's already taken his own life out of guilt. Do you really want to push his entire family to their deaths as well? Since my husband's own parents have put it that way, what else can I do? All I could do was arrange the funeral through my tears. We have to hold a funeral banquet and send my husband off for burial. Right, I didn't expect my in-laws to be so strongly opposed. Are you trying to let everyone know how horribly my son died? What's your damn intention? I felt helpless and couldn't bear to reopen their wounds, so I took the household registration booklet and planned to cancel the registration. My in-laws fiercely stopped me again. He's our only son, and you're taking him to cancel his household registration. You're tearing my heart out. How can you be so cruel? Can't you at least leave us something to remember you by? I had no choice. I didn't dare to reopen the old wounds of the two elderly people, so I stopped meddling in the aftermath. Besides, it was her first time being widowed, so she had no experience. I'm not the kind of person who is heartless and ungrateful, so I comforted my parents-in-law, telling them not to worry, that this family still has me. I'm an orphan who has longed for a family since childhood. Su Tianyo's parents are my parents. From that day on, my mind was consumed with finding ways to make money, working sales during the day and running a street stall at night. That was my life for 8 years. I finally managed to open 2 hot pot restaurants and started making some money, only to have both my in-laws diagnosed with cancer. Now, chemotherapy and various health therapies cost 70,000 to 80,000 yuan every month. I'm so stressed that I lie awake every night, too afraid to rest for even a moment. Later, a cold turned into meningitis, and I passed out at home on my deathbed. I overheard my in-laws complaining, Luna spends money like water, she's blown through all our son's money. Thank goodness Xiaoqian was sensible and capable enough to make up for it, but then she died so young. What a waste. Oh well, it is what it is. Have our son bring Luna back. She's been out having fun all these years. It's time she settled down. The mere thought of it made my whole body tremble. Uncontrollably forced down the resentment deep inside. My eyes darkened as I pointed at my mother-in-law's nose and cursed her out. It's early in the morning. If you dare curse my husband one more time, even if you're his own mother, I'll still slap you, too. The mother-in-law's eyes were rimmed with red. It was clear that slap really stung. Her lips moved as she struggled to explain. God bless him, my son is truly dead. Without hesitation, I slapped him twice, once with the front of my hand, once with the back. How dare you curse my husband? Shut your filthy mouth. My father-in-law, furious, came up and shoved me. Too bad I couldn't budget. I've been doing housework and taking care of kids for years, so I'm surprisingly strong. The father-in-law roared, your man is really dead, crushed by a truck, dead as a doornail, you idiot. I didn't hold back either and promptly gave him 2 sharp slaps across the face. Those 2 slaps sent his dentures flying, and he scrambled on the floor to find them. The in-laws cried, this time truly aggrieved, sitting on the ground, wailing helplessly, slapping my thighs in despair. Our son is really gone. We just came to let our daughter-in-law know. She just went ahead and beat us without any reason. What a sin. The heart-wrenching scene made the retired elderly stop in their tracks. You vicious woman, hitting your mother-in-law, when your husband died. why didn't he take you with him? Young people these days have no sense of respect for the elderly or care for the young. Seeing this, I remained unapologetic. You're telling me my husband is gone, where's the body, where's the death certificate? If you're not cursing him, what are you doing with all this empty talk? The mother-in-law clutched her chest, her voice trembling with emotion. He was crushed to death by a truck. The body, woo-woo, my son died so horribly. The coroner said there was no point in even preparing the body for burial. We were afraid you'd be too upset to see it, so we had him cremated directly. His ashes are at the funeral home. With that, she pulled out her phone and flipped through a few blurry, gory photos. The photo shows the belt and watch that my husband usually wears. Got to hand it to my mother-in-law. She's quite the actress in my past life. I was fooled by her heart-wrenching act, and with just a few photos added to the mix, I believed her without a second thought. But now, I just want to laugh. Suppressing a smile, she forced a look of shock onto her face, let out a hoarse scream. Impossible. He was just fine yesterday, drinking the pork knuckle soup I made. How could he be gone just like that? Tears silently streamed down my face, my soul seemingly lost, my complexion deathly pale. His body swayed, as if he might collapse at any moment. Her in-laws just breathed a sigh of relief. The next second, I went berserk, smashed my mother-in-law's phone, and stomped on it viciously a few times. What can a few photos prove? You're just lying to me. If he's really gone, then how did he die? And where's his body? Why hasn't any police officer called to notify me? How could someone as good as him die? He promised to be with me for life. I refuse to believe he's dead. I wiped away my tears and forced a bitter smile, pretending to be strong. My in-laws instinctively tried to say something, but I cut them off with a loud shout. Yeah, he's definitely not dead. He must be lying to me. For all I know, he's run off with that little tramp behind my back. That scumbag, I'll never forgive him. When I said the words little tramp, I deliberately stared straight at my mother-in-law. Guiltily, she shut her mouth and took a step back, not daring to reach out and stop me. To outsiders, I looked like I had lost my mind from grief. Their eyes, full of pity and shock, followed me. I raced home, slammed the door shut, and immediately pulled out my phone. After maxing out dozens of online lending platforms and piecing together loans, I finally scraped together 10 million. This amount is the limit of online loans, not my limit. I didn't put down my phone until I had absolutely no more loans to take out. In the end, I sent a message asking for help to my friend at the orphanage. Can you help me get a new identity? 3. After taking care of everything, there was a knock at the door accompanied by a familiar female voice. Xiaoqian, please calm down. Okay, I know you're hurting right now, but don't do anything rash. I saw Tianyu a few days ago, and he mentioned you back then. I never thought those would be his last words. Don't you want to hear what he said? Hearing that voice, I couldn't stop myself from trembling all over. Luna is Su Tianyu's best female buddy. The first time Su Tianyu brought me to meet his crew, Luna pressed his head into her chest and teased, "Son, you've got some interesting taste, huh? So you're into girls with big boobs." I was publicly humiliated for the first time, burning with shame and indignation. Before I could say anything, Luna let out a hearty laugh. Don't be mad, sis-in-law, that's just how I am, carefree and straightforward like a boy. I say what I say and then it's done. Don't take it to heart. Anyway, it's a compliment. My dear son is really lucky to have you. Su Tianyu also said that Luna meant no harm and was just joking with me. I didn't want to lose this relationship, so I had to swallow my pride. During my pregnancy, I often heard Luna asking Su Tianyu out for drinks every few days. When Su Tianyu wasn't interested, she'd tease him with a grin, asking if he was ditching friends for a pretty face. I ended up having a C-section after a failed natural birth and couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Luna called and sneered that women are just too fussy. I've already put up with it. Having grown up in an orphanage, I've always longed for the warmth of a family from the moment we got together. I already dreamed of growing old together and building a family. I won't let go unless I absolutely have to. Besides, aside from giving Luna preferential treatment, Su Tianyu hadn't actually crossed any direct boundaries until Su Tianyu's ancestral home was demolished. Overnight, the Su family became fabulously wealthy. Luna, who always dressed like a tomboy, suddenly started wearing makeup and skirts, and was sporting quite a few designer brands. Later, Su Tianyu couldn't contain his admiration for Luna in his few words. Occasionally, when I tell him about the funny things our son did at kindergarten, he suddenly remembers something and the corner of his mouth curls into a smirk. Can't you do something more meaningful, like art, painting or something? Or when he sees me from behind while I'm washing up, He gently shakes his head. Can't you learn to dress better? Luna has great taste in fashion. I don't have any spare money. I even snagged my underwear for a penny trial on Pinduoduo, and Luna's so-called art needs no skill. It's basically propped up by money. Luna outside the door grew anxious. Open the door, Zhang Xiaoqian, what's your game, playing deaf and dumb in there? We've got a bunch of brothers waiting for you out here. Before she could finish, I snapped back to reality and flung the door open. Luna stumbled and fell flat on the ground, then looked up at me with a glare, utterly disheveled. Her instinct was to curse me, but seeing my swollen red eyes, she remembered why she had come and had to settle for picking herself up off the ground first, for Luna didn't come alone. She also brought along the close buddies who used to hang out with Su Tianyu. The in-laws followed behind as well. I know they were just trying to make their act more convincing, to keep me calm and prevent me from causing any trouble for Su Tianyu and Luna. After all, Luna is no ordinary person now. She's the hottest female art painter around. If Su Tianyu wanted to be her follower, he naturally had to break free from the shackles imposed by his family. I let out a soft sigh. With Tianyu gone, how can I, a housewife, possibly manage to raise 2 children on my own? At the mention of money, everyone exchanged awkward glances and fell into an instant silence. In the end, the in-laws stepped in and pulled out $800. Xiaoqian, don't worry, it was 800 before, and it's still 800 now. No matter how tough or poor we get, we old folks won't short you a single cent. The Su family was already well off, with the in-laws' pensions totaling 18,000 yuan a month. Then, out of the blue, they struck it rich as demolition beneficiaries. Who would have thought that being a full-time housewife in a family like this only earns you $800 a month? Do I have to write a report and submit an application just to buy something not in the plan? I've always been a soft-hearted person, honest, quiet, and too shy to ask for more when others didn't offer. After graduation, I married Su Tianyu and was kept on a monthly allowance of just 800 yuan for a full 4 years later. Su Tianyu faked his death, and his parents swaggered into the house, claiming they were there to take care of me, but in reality, I had to handle everything, their meals, bathroom needs, the whole lot. How can you get by on just $800? I hit the streets, set up a stall, and worked in sales, throwing all shame aside to go head-to-head with others. It took me just 1 week to truly earn my first $800. In that moment, as I recalled all that had come before, my entire being was transformed. Now I see, even giving 800, these two are so reluctant. I take a deep breath, clutching the phone. Mom, Dad, you keep this money for yourselves. I heard that car accidents can be compensated, even if the driver has no money. There's always the insurance company, right? By the way, Social Security will also provide a funeral and burial allowance. Give me the death certificate, and I'll go collect the money. Hearing this, everyone panicked. My in-laws' faces turned green with anger as they sternly stopped me. No way. Oh, I said, why not? I can't bear to look. Xiaoqian, you're driving a knife into my heart. I can't stand to see those things. It's already agonizing enough for me, an old man, to bury my own child. Why are you forcing me like this? The old woman let out a wail and started crying again. She cries, and I cry too. How can anyone survive on $800? Might as well sell the house. The moment I thought of that, I immediately reached for the phone to call the agent, which made my in-laws jump in panic. No, another strong objection. Several people chimed in, saying that Su Tianyu was too kind-hearted to trouble others, and that he was the apple of his parents' eye, unable to bear being written off. Watching them sweat profusely, their faces twisted with anxiety and their hands flailing about, I could barely suppress the sneer rising from within. How could I have been so convinced back then by such a flimsy excuse and poor acting? Of course, I don't plan to call them out just yet. After playing along with them for a while, I pretended to be convinced and sighed. Alright, I don't want to make Tianyu uneasy either. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and my in-laws started directing me to cook. They're all Tianyu's friends, so at least show them some hospitality. His own son is dead, and he's still thinking about eating. Entertain them. I've got nothing better to do. I let out a cold laugh and simply ordered takeout. I used to hold back from ordering what I really wanted, but today I went ahead and ordered everything I craved. It feels great to spend someone else's money. No hesitation at all. Having been reborn, I can make anyone suffer, but not myself. 5. Dad, Mom, don't worry, even if he's gone, I'll still be your daughter-in-law. I'll take care of you for the rest of your lives. Take this money back. I've been supported by Tianyu all these years since we got married, and I've saved up a considerable amount, enough to take care of you. Both of them were moved to tears, as if they were genuinely touched. It seemed they really thought 800 yuan was a fortune. I didn't bother with those details. For the next half month or so, I spent as much money as I could on my in-laws. The first online loan payment is due soon. Borrowing to repay loans doubles the interest. My father-in-law was complaining about having a headache and a slight fever, so I signed him up for a membership card. My mother-in-law wanted skincare, so I just took her straight to a medical aesthetics clinic. The two of them never have enough of taking advantage, their appetite only growing bigger, yet I've done everything in my power to satisfy them. The second online loan is due soon. I kept borrowing to pay off my loans, and the interest doubled again. Meanwhile, Luna's first oil painting exhibition opened. Luna rose to fame thanks to the label of an independent, spirited woman, her striking appearance, and a heavy investment in promotion. I frequently come across videos of her eloquently speaking at an art gallery. Some introduce the inspiration behind her paintings, while others share her unique insights on women. In the video, she had flawless makeup and a clear, crisp voice. For me, I think the most important thing is independence. Women should never take pride in being a housewife. A woman's life must not be confined to the household. To be honest, I think what she said makes a lot of sense. It wasn't until the moment I died that I realized the warmth of family I had been chasing was all an illusion. Being stuck at home doesn't give me a sense of security. Instead, it makes me a lamb to the slaughter. In a street shot video, I caught a glimpse of what appeared to be Su Tianyu bustling backstage. He probably didn't realize that Luna's carefully crafted persona of a strong female artist was nothing more than a means to step on Su Tianyu and leapfrog her way up in life. In her past life, her in-laws were always trying to get Luna to settle down and come home. Others just up and left, running off with the Americans to live like royalty abroad. After looking for a long time, I gave it a like. A friend texted me at just the right moment. I'm ready. When are you coming? I looked at my two sons sleeping beside me, took a deep breath, and said, see you tomorrow afternoon at Chengdu Bridge. 6. My in-laws are harsh with me, but they treat their two grandsons well. Just to be on the safe side, I still left 2 cameras at home. The next day, on the way to drop the kid off at kindergarten, I asked them to repeat what they should do after their mother's accidental death. The 2 sons chimed in with their childish, eager voices. I know, we can find grandma, find grandpa, and even find daddy. If they can't find it, go ask Uncle Jean. We all have little genius watches, so we'll find it soon. Mom left us a piggy bank. It's our secret, don't tell anyone. Children don't understand death. I told them that death is just a game. Death means starting over. After making sure they had it memorized, I waved to them, turned around, and walked away. My phone is being blown up by debt collection calls. After taking this loan, instead of politely saying I would definitely pay it back, I got emotional and raised my voice. I told you I have no money, I'm just a housewife, and my husband just died. What do you expect me to do? I have a family to support, my son needs to eat, my in-laws need to eat. What else could I do but borrow money? It's your fault for not screening me properly and lending to a housewife like me. My husband's name is Su Tianyu. If you're so capable, go find him down below. The debt collector was furious and started issuing death threats. I immediately retorted in defiance. Fine, I'll go die. I'll go die right now. I'm at Chengdu Bridge, come and get me. I stood by the bridge, my eyes swollen and red from crying, choking back tears. I recounted the story of borrowing money into my phone's camera. I just wanted to take care of my husband's family. I don't understand how the interest snowballed into such a huge amount. I really can't pay it back. I'm sorry, husband. I failed to fulfill your last wish. It's all my fault for overestimating myself. All my fault for being too greedy. After saying these words, I jumped straight into the river. This was a newly built bridge, with not much traffic coming and going. The debt collectors arrived, only to find the phone and the farewell video left in the photo album. As for me, I was smoothly picked up by a friend and vanished without a trace. 7. My 2 sons, Nyonyo and Zhuangzhuang, waited at the kindergarten for ages, but I never showed up to pick them up. Remembering my advice, I immediately called my grandparents. My in-laws went to pick him up, all the while brainwashing my son with their words. Your mother is such a piece of work, won't even come pick up her own son. Just leaves us old folks to deal with it. Nyonyo and Zhuangzhuang immediately retorted, Grandma is the one who talks bad about Mom. So Grandma isn't a good person either. The mother-in-law was so furious that she stomped her feet and cursed even more harshly. Nyonyo and Zhuangzhuang were crying loudly, insisting on calling the police. A kind passerby saw this and immediately called the police for help. The grandparents waited with the kids at the police station for 2 hours. During that time, Nyonyo and Zhuang even ate burgers and finished 2 drawings, only to find out in the end that it was all a misunderstanding. Once they got home, the in-laws, who had been suppressing their anger all day, finally exploded. Zhang Xiaoqian, take a look at the fine son you've raised. But no matter how hard they looked, they couldn't find me. The in-laws panicked but forced themselves to stay calm. You lazy bum, how dare you hide? I didn't show up on the 2nd day, nor the 3rd. The in-laws are getting anxious. When she tried to call her son, she found out that Su Tianyu had already changed his number to make his act more convincing. He hadn't even told his own parents. On the 3rd and 5th days, my in-laws started receiving debt collection calls. The 2 of them couldn't ignore it even if they wanted to, because I filled in all the emergency contacts with phone numbers of my in-laws' relatives from their hometown. These days, even my in-laws' distant relatives have found out. They'd been calling one after another to ask what's going on and how they ended up with such a huge debt. It was only at this moment that her in-laws pieced together the truth. I borrowed a huge amount of online loans, then vanished without a trace. The 2 exchanged a glance, both seeing fear and fury in each other's faces. How dare she take out online loans? So all the money she spent was borrowed. Then what about the money my son has been giving her all these years? I was both amused and exasperated when I saw this on the surveillance footage. Zhang Pingle also smiled. How did you end up with such awful in-laws? I feel somewhat ashamed. The illusion of happiness was like bait, luring me into a trap from which I only awoke at the cost of my life. But given a second chance, I escaped the misery in time. There's still hope to turn things around. These days, my in-laws have been harassed by debt collectors, so enraged that both elderly suffered from high blood pressure, roaring furiously into the phone. It was my daughter-in-law who borrowed the money. What does that have to do with us? Go chase her if you want payment. The debt collector's tone was icy and aggressive. She's your daughter-in-law. Who else would I go to? Besides, she's already jumped into the river and died. Pay up, or I'll make sure everyone knows your family are a bunch of deadbeats. My in-laws were considered public officials before retirement, at least in our small county town. They were quite respectable. They valued their reputation, scraped together over 200,000, and paid it back. The next moment, another debt collection call came in, demanding they pay back another 500,000. My in-laws were devastated. It was only then that I realized the people calling to demand payment these past few days weren't even from the same company. They couldn't even figure out how much they owed, and the thought of having just sunk 200,000 yuan only to hear a splash made their hearts ache so much they could barely breathe. My father-in-law was so furious that he fainted on the spot, and my mother-in-law frantically called 911. There is simply no time to look after the grandchildren. When Nyonyo and Zhuang woke up, the house was completely empty. At that moment, they remembered my reminder and used the Xiaoshiankai smartwatch to get in touch with Zhang Pingle and I grew up together in the orphanage. He is 3 years older than me, with a steady and mature personality, making him the most dependable older brother among our orphanage companions. Therefore, I feel at ease. My in-laws are too sick to be cared for. Yet debt collectors keep paying them frequent visits. Even though the debt collectors wouldn't dare to do anything to the 2 elderly people in broad daylight, they still couldn't stand the disapproving looks from others. In the end, I exhausted every possible means and managed to get his new number through Su Tianyu's various friends. At this time, Su Tianyu and Luna were in the honeymoon phase of their relationship. Luna transformed overnight, becoming a beautiful painter under Su Tianyu's financial backing. After the success of her first art exhibition, he threw a celebration party for Luna. On the surface, it's a celebration of success, but in reality, it's about building a platform for Luna. It was at this banquet that Luna met Joey, the renowned international artist. Thanks to Joey's introduction, Luna managed to make a name for herself abroad. Su Tianyu, playing the role of the secret backer, stood by Luna's side just as Joey was about to extend an olive branch to Luna. The loan collection specialist showed up. As the door to the banquet hall swung open, everyone turned to look toward the sound. They saw a group of men in sharp black suits, all with puzzled looks on their faces. As the host, Su Tianyu, was about to stop it, Lu Gang, the lead debt collector, raised an eyebrow as he compared the photo and said, "So you're Su Tianyu, Zhang Xiaoqian's husband." 9. At the sound of my name, Su Tianyu's expression shifted. After all, a clueless housewife like me has no reason to be involved with people like them, let alone show up at a place like this. Su Tianyu, after confirming there was no one here who knew me, said without batting an eye, "No, you've got the wrong place, please go somewhere else. This is an art gallery, not a place where just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can waltz in." Lu Gang sneered and arrogantly ordered someone to go up and cast the screen. "Got money for an art exhibition, but no money to pay off the loan. Everyone, take a look at what kind of scumbag this art exhibition owner really is." The next second, my tear-streaked face appeared on the screen. I was clutching the wedding photo of Su Tianyu and me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Honey, I'm sorry. Today Mom said she felt dizzy, and I could see she was uncomfortable with everything. I just couldn't bear it, but I didn't have any money myself, so I took out an online loan. I took her to the hospital for checkups and physical therapy, but nothing helped. In the end, I signed her up for a spiritual retreat. She went for a trial class and actually felt much better, but the class costs $88,888 per session. Still, she's our mom. If it's for her good, I'm willing to spend the money." "Honey, why did you have to die so young? I'm really at my wit's end." Today Dad said his leg hurt, and guess what? He insisted that the young man delivering eggs had a magic cup. Drinking water from that cup, he said, would stop his leg from feeling cold. I gritted my teeth and spent $18,888 to buy it. The debt collectors are calling again. I'm so terrified. It's all my fault. I'm useless. I couldn't help you take care of your parents. I have no way out. Honey, let's meet in hell. The scene shifts, and I jump into the sea. Su Tianyu's face grew increasingly dark. Impossible. This is AI. It's fake. How could my wife jump into the sea? He yelled, trying to rush forward to stop it, but was firmly held back by the men in black. Lu Gang sneered, "Believe it or not, jumping into the sea in this weather, she'll either drown or freeze to death." "Su Tianyu, we know you have money in your account. You lied to your wife that you're broke, making her take out loans to support your kids and parents, but you fake your death to deceive her, and then come here to fund an art exhibition for your mistress. Have you no shame?" "Everyone, take a look. The owner of this gallery faked his death to cheat his wife, and the money he saved went straight to his mistress for her art projects." The crowd below erupted in an uproar. The client, who had just paid a fortune to commission a painting, immediately cancelled the order upon hearing that. The wealthy lady who had intended to commission a painting immediately backed out of the deal. More people felt cheated and demanded a refund for their tickets. Seeing that everyone wore angry expressions, Su Tianyu panicked, craning his neck and shouting, "You're talking nonsense. I'll sue you for defamation." Luna panicked too. What alarmed her was the faint disdain on Joey's face. "Joey, I'm really not some kind of third wheel. This guy and I are just friends. We're like brothers, and besides, I'm still single. Every single painting in the gallery was painted by me personally. It has nothing to do with him." But Joey still kept a cold face. After firmly declining, she turned and walked away without looking back. Luna's face turned pale. The opportunity she had been preparing for over half a year was ruined in an instant. She shot Su Tianyu a fierce glare and turned away. Su Tianyu tried to stop him, but Lu Gang blocked his way. Pointing at my selfie video on the phone, he asked, "Is this your wife?" Su Tianyu tried to deny it, but Lu Gang pulled out the marriage certificate he had found at my place and said, "This is your wife, isn't it?" This time, Su Tianyu was left speechless. Lu Gang nodded with satisfaction. "A debt must be repaid. It's only right and proper. Otherwise, like I said, I'll follow you wherever you go and make sure the whole world knows exactly what kind of person you really are." The Su Tianyu family are all respectable people. How could they bear such a loss of face? But he had no intention of swallowing such a huge sum of money, so he went straight to the police. 10. Su Tianyu was trying to stall and weasel out of paying the debt. Unfortunately, it was useless. When the police came after we called them, they just gave a warning, saying that debt collection shouldn't disrupt others' normal lives. Even if he called the police that day and Lu Gang and his crew left, they would still show up at his doorstep the next day, right on time. Over time, not only Su Tianyu found it unbearable, but even anyone remotely connected to the Su family couldn't stand it. Even Luna had been keeping her distance from him lately. Denied again. Once again, the debt and default ruined a relative's wedding. Again, after failing to get my whereabouts and latest news, Su Tianyu finally couldn't hold out and reluctantly paid back more than 18 million. As soon as he heard the news, Jean Pingle was the first to tell me. A smile tugged at my lips. In my past life, I'd begrudged spending $800, but now 18 million was no big deal. Serves him right. When are you bringing the kids back? That bastard Su Tianyu doesn't give a damn about them. those two old farts have been staying for over half a month and haven't even bothered to check on the kids." My eyes darkened at these words. These days, I've been trying not to tip anyone off, so I've been secretly keeping an eye on the kid going to and from school every day. Seeing that they actually abandoned the child, I regretted not taking them all away with me, but now is not the best time. However, I still went to the kindergarten teacher and secretly gave her a sum of money to take care of my child, asking her to tell others that she was just doing it out of pity for the child being helpless and alone. As for Su Tianyu, his retribution has only just begun. He had always believed his relationship with Luna was pure love. After paying off the loan, there was less than 2 million left in his account. Luna's attitude has completely changed. Naturally, from being completely compliant at the start, she turned cold and ruthless, hanging up on him several times. Su Tianyu, annoyed, blocked her way at the entrance of her apartment building. The first thing he said was to demand that she go back and take care of her parents. 11. Luna had just gained a bit of popularity when she was quickly consumed by the backlash of being labeled a homewrecker. Her online fame crumbled upon exposure, and everywhere she went, she was met with cold stares and harsh criticism. Thanks to her thick skin, the rumors couldn't break her, they only made her fight harder. However, traffic has dropped significantly. In other words, capital has abandoned her. Hearing Su Tianyu tell her to go home and take care of his parents, she flew into a rage. "Why?" Su Tianyu said indignantly. "It's all because you came up with the idea of faking my death. Now look, my parents are so furious they had a stroke, and my wife jumped into the sea over this, leaving no trace of her body. Don't you think you should take responsibility?" Luna crossed her arms and let out a mocking laugh. "Bro, we're all adults here. If I tell you to do something and you just do it, then what if I told you to go die right now? Why don't you go? Go ahead." She began addressing him like a brother, but with a tone that clearly kept him at arm's length. "Luna, what do you mean? Back off, Su Tianyu. We're all brothers here. Why are you taking this so seriously?" Su Tianyu was utterly stunned. The next second, two burly men appeared beside Luna, slinging their arms around each other's shoulders. "Bro," Luna pointed at Su Tianyu, half joking and half tattling. "It's him. We agreed we'd be like brothers, but he's got the wrong idea about me and just tried to get rough." Su Tianyu couldn't believe it. "Bullshit, I spent over 10 million on you, and we even slept together." Before she could finish speaking, Luna slapped Su Tianyu across the face, and the two men immediately came to blows. Half an hour later, Su Tianyu was dumped by the roadside. It wasn't until the next morning that a cleaner called 120 and had him taken to the hospital. Su Tianyu lay unconscious for 3 days before slowly coming to. But the first thing he did upon waking up wasn't to settle scores with Luna, it was to put a public bounty on my information. Scrolling through my phone, I suddenly saw my own face appear before me. Su Tianyu was sobbing beside me, pouring out his longing for me, and even offered a reward of 100,000 for any information about my whereabouts. I was frozen stiff with fear. In the video, Su Tianyu took out a letter and shouted that he wanted to send it to me. "I know you're not dead, I know you hate me, I just beg you to give me a chance to make amends. I wronged you, and I'm willing to give everything to make it up to you. Please give me a chance." Could he have been reborn too? As this thought crossed my mind, a chill ran through every bone in my body. 12 out of options. I had to go to South Korea for some touch-ups. I had it done so thoroughly that even Zhang Pingle wouldn't recognize me, and only then did I feel relieved. Now, not only is my ID different, but my face has changed too. There's absolutely no way Su Tianyu could recognize me. Meanwhile, Luna had met a wealthy businessman and was preparing to go abroad for a vacation. When Su Tianyu learned of this, hatred surged within him, and he deliberately set an ambush at the airport. As soon as Luna stepped out of the terminal, Su Tianyu stabbed her to death with a bayonet he had prepared. Surrounded by police with real guns and live ammunition, Su Tianyu shouted at the crowd, "Xiaoqian, look, I avenged you myself. This time you'll definitely forgive me, right?" Amid the pools of blood, his expression was manic, like a madman. Everyone was terrified, and I, who had just gotten off the plane, happened to witness this scene. A chill ran down my spine. Later, Su Tianyu was thrown into prison, but he still didn't forget to write me letters. I received it this time as expected. His confession letter mentioned his rebirth. Only then did I realize, in his previous life, he had stumbled upon Luna's affair and was sent by her wealthy husband to northern Myanmar, where he was tortured to death. I slapped my thigh in frustration. Why didn't I think of that great idea on the day Su Tianyu was convicted of intentional homicide. I took our 2 sons to visit my in-laws, who were bedridden in a nursing home. When I told them the good news, my in-laws were so furious they were clawing the air, and they ended up having another stroke. I let out a cold chuckle, then turned around and took my 2 sons to the police station to change our names and surnames, adopting my maiden name, Zhang. Zhang is not my real surname. I was abandoned, just like Zhang Pingle, and took the old director's surname. That works too. For the rest of my life, I will no longer cling to the idea of having a home. Home is where the heart finds peace. That's all for the first story. Stay tuned. The next one is even more exciting. My roommate insists on eating with their left hand and using the right hand for the toilet, just like Indians do. After spending too much time with the Indian exchange students, I ended up reeking of a strong mix of curry and body odor in the previous life, my other roommate. And I simply couldn't take it anymore. I advised her, even if that Indian exchange student is from a high caste, he won't marry only you in the future. Why not just find a decent guy and get married while you're still in college? My roommate took my advice and married an ordinary man. Then she scrolled through her classmates' moments and caught a glimpse of the extravagant lifestyle of India's upper caste people. She came to my home and stabbed me to death with a single knife, reborn into a new life. I'll just watch her marry that Indian exchange student and see if she really finds happiness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the dormitory. Our dormitory is a 4-person room with a private bathroom. I was overjoyed when I first got admitted. I also get along very well with my other 3 roommates, but everything changed after my roommate Chinjati met that exchange student from India. First of all, that Indian exchange student reeked of a strong curry smell mixed with a foul stench. My roommate, after spending so much time with her every day, inevitably picked up that smell too. When she brought that smell back to the dormitory, you can imagine how the other 3 roommates felt. So, as the representative of the dorm, I started persuading my roommate to break up with that Indian exchange student. After all, we don't want to be poisoned by that smell either. My roommate Chinjati is still out on a date with that Indian exchange student and hasn't come back yet. The air in the dormitory is surprisingly fresh. The other 2 roommates were also absorbed in their phones, each minding their own business. I also came across that post from my past life again. What is life like for high caste Indians? Accompanied by a few images of Indians living a life of luxury and extravagance, surrounded by countless servants. The comments section is full of people marveling at how incredibly easy life is for India's upper caste individuals. I want to be reborn as a high caste Indian in my next life. However, such comments are often met with backlash. It is claimed that high caste Indians are very rare, and it is the low caste individuals who truly represent the everyday reality of most Indians. Some also mentioned a few Indian exchange students from the school. Since they've only been at our school for 1 semester, these Indian exchange students still don't know how to use this social media app. So even though the comments section under this post is in complete chaos, there's not a single Indian in sight at this moment. One message stood out particularly: don't Indians eat with their left hand and wipe their ass with their right? Can you really handle marrying into that? I saw that the replies under this comment were all bashing her. A few even got so carried away with the insults that they ended up deleting their own comments. It was detected by the system because it was too dirty. Of course I can handle it. It's just eating with the left hand and wiping with the right. Right, that's how upper caste Indians do it. I know the social media account that made this comment. She is my roommate, Chinjati. Some people were hurling insults at her in the comments, but quite a few also had her back. I let out a cold laugh, turned off my phone, and kept my mouth shut too. Soon enough, my roommate Chinjati was back. At the same time, the smell of curry mixed with a foul odor quickly spread throughout the dormitory. Someone finally started talking in our small group chat. That doesn't include Chinjati. Zhang Hao, she smells absolutely terrible. Should one of us talk to her? If this keeps up, I'm going to have to switch dorm rooms. Wang Xinyu, seriously, if she loves her Indian boyfriend that much, she might as well just move in with him. Zhang Hao, by the way, Meng Meng, why aren't you saying anything? I'm too choked by the smoke to speak, I replied as well. There were quiet giggles in the dormitory. In my past life, it was what Chinjati and I said. But this time, I chose not to step forward. However, my other roommate, Zhang Hao, couldn't hold back and started talking after less than 10 minutes. Chinjati, it's so hot out. Why don't you go take a shower, take a bath? I just had one yesterday. Chinjati rolled her eyes in exasperation. How about taking a shower? Wang Xinyu, another roommate, chimed in. If you two want to wash, go wash yourselves. I'm not taking a bath. Chinjati took off her coat after saying these words, then lie down on the bed. The smell in the Dormitory instantly became even stronger. The smell hit me so hard I couldn't breathe. You stink so bad. How are we supposed to stay in the dorm if you don't take a shower? Zhang Hao, my roommate, finally snapped. What stench? That's the smell of a man. Chen Jiadi sat up from the bed in anger. You've never even had a boyfriend. What do you know about what makes a man manly? Only strong men have this kind of scent. You're all just jealous that I found such a manly, amazing boyfriend. Hearing that, I instinctively felt a bit sick to my stomach. Who's jealous of you? Zhang Hao, usually a quiet girl, had her eyes reddening from anger at Chen Jiadi's words. You're totally jealous. You'll all end up with some weak loser of a man. Not like me. When I go to India with my boyfriend, I'll be high caste. With your lowly status, one day you'll have to kneel and bow to me. Chen Jiadi pressed on, continuing her tirade. You, Zhang Hao, unable to out-talk Chen Jiadi, could only glare in silence. If you're so capable, move out. Zhang Hao, fuming, finally squeezed out that line after stewing for a long time. I'm not going anywhere. If you can't stand me, you can move out yourselves. After saying this, Chen Jiadi shot us a smug look. Indeed, we cannot move out, because the school rule is that freshmen cannot move out of the dorms. I've already reported this to the counselor before. The bottom line is we can't move out. The dormitory fell into an eerie silence. The other two roommates don't even feel like chatting in the group chat anymore. 3. Chen Jiadi refused to move out. We just had to put up with the stench coming from her. Only when we left the dorm could we relax a little. The other two roommates, along with me, were spending less and less time in the dorm. Our roommate Chen Jiadi saw how we were swallowing our pride. Not only did she not hold back at all, but she became even more brazen. It was originally her comment under the post. I thought she was just joking. I never expected her to actually start studying it in the dorm. Wang Xinyu, her roommate, was so disgusted by her actions that she immediately threw up, but instead, she was ridiculed by Chen Jiadi. What an ignorant peasant, doesn't even know that high-caste Indians eat with their right hand and wipe with their left. Today I'm giving you an education. You, Wang Xinyu, hadn't expected Chen Jiadi to go this far. How dare you talk back, after witnessing such a magnificent move from me? Not only do you show no gratitude, but you even fake disgust. You're just born with a lowly fate. The moment those words were spoken, Wang Xinyu immediately ran out crying. Zhang Hao and I could only try to comfort her, but even if it meant dropping out of school, she absolutely refused to stay in this dormitory. It took 2 whole days of fussing around. In the end, only Zhang Hao, Chen Jiadi, and I were left in the dorm. That morning, I was just about to head to school, but as I reached the dormitory door, a foul stench hit me. This stench is very familiar, like the smell from Chen Jiadi, a unique stench mixed with a hint of curry, found nowhere else. Others smelled it too. Following the gaze of the other students, I realized that someone had actually taken a dump right at the entrance of the girls' dormitory. For a moment, I was so disgusted that I couldn't speak. I had no choice but to hold my nose and rush off to class. By the time I got back to the dorm, that pile of crap was already gone. My roommate was standing at the door, getting an earful from the dorm matron, who was practically foaming at the mouth. These young girls nowadays have no shame at all. You're not the kind of ill-mannered person, so how could you do something like taking a dump right at the dormitory entrance? Didn't your teachers always tell you to treat school like your own home? Is this how you treat your home? Other classmates gathered around to watch the spectacle, making my roommate Chen Jiadi feel even more humiliated, but all she could do was continue to endure the dorm matron's scolding. The dorm matron is absolutely furious. It wasn't until I had been scolding her for a full hour that I saw my roommate walk into the dorm with red-rimmed eyes. Then I heard my roommate start talking to her Indian boyfriend on the phone. Chen Jiadi burst into tears as soon as she answered the call. It's all your fault for not being able to hold it that day and insisting on using the bathroom right outside the dorm. You have no idea how badly that old witch of a dorm matron scolded me. And everyone else was laughing at me. At this point, Chen Jiadi couldn't help but break down sobbing. Wah, they must be apologizing over there, but they're speaking Mandarin with a heavy accent. It doesn't sound very sincere. Yet, even such insincere comfort was enough to stop Chen Jiadi from crying quickly. Then, Chen Jiadi started bringing up the idea of having her Indian boyfriend pick her up and take her out. I don't know what was said on the other end, but my roommate hung up the phone looking very happy. In fact, she wasn't the only one in the dormitory who was happy. There's also me and another roommate. We were absolutely thrilled to hear that Chen Jiadi was moving out, but dared not let Chen Jiadi find out, afraid she might change her mind and decide not to move out. So the two of us had to suppress our excitement. We pretended not to know anything about it. However, my roommate Chen Jiadi also noticed something off about us. She let out a cold laugh without saying a word and continued packing her things. Still, I can't help feeling she was way too eager, but the happiness between the two of us was truly beyond words. If it weren't forbidden, the two of us would even want to buy a couple of firecrackers to set off for the day my roommate Chinjadi moved out. Zhang Hao and I excitedly went out for a big feast together. After all, ever since Chinjadi left, even the air in the dormitory has felt so much fresher. While eating, I happened to come across a trending topic about my school. A female college student actually learned to eat with her hands in order to marry into a high-caste family in India. This kind of headline gives me a bad feeling. Sure enough, it was my roommate Chinjadi. The person who filmed this video still has some conscience, at least blurring Chinjadi and that Indian guy a bit. Let them appear in public without high definition and censored exposure, but it doesn't matter whether this code is entered or not. Because the place where the two were eating was the crowded cafeteria, there are no fewer than 10 people filming the two of them in the video. Before the two of them sat a bowl of chicken curry rice. Normally, a portion wouldn't be this much, but because the auntie gave special treatment to the Indians, the curry chicken chunks in their bowls piled up like a small mountain. The two of them are mixing the curry chicken with rice and digging in with great relish. The curry stains on Chinjadi's face were quite noticeable. Unlike the Indians whose dark skin made such spills less visible, I instinctively thought of Chinjadi imitating the Indian practice of eating with the left hand and wiping with the right. At that moment, the grilled meat in my mouth didn't taste good anymore. But that Indian guy is just SOSO to his roommate. It's nowhere near as good as my roommate said. Indians consider the left hand sacred, but at that moment, the Indian used his right hand, the one he normally uses for cleaning, to hold his roommate's hand. My roommate seemed completely oblivious to this, a sweet smile plastered across their face. The comments under this video are almost reaching 10,000. Has she no sense of shame? She actually chose to eat with her hands just to curry favor with India's high castes. She's utterly unworthy of being called one of our own. Disgusting. Everyone has the right to choose their own lifestyle. Why the harsh words from upstairs? It's not just about high caste when being with an Indian, right? It's also about that aspect. Eating with hands is like being uncivilized. Can Indians really make her feel better? It's definitely more satisfying, right? Otherwise, why would she be putting in both money and effort to be taken advantage of for nothing? A girl like this, after being dumped by an Indian guy, I doubt any man would want her. Ha ha ha. Putting earthworms in a jar. Please delete the post above. Please delete the above post. I second the motion. As a result, the video was quickly taken down by the system due to the overwhelming number of hateful comments. Zhang Hao couldn't help but ask me with confusion when he saw me playing with my phone instead of eating. Meng Meng, why aren't you eating? I sent Zhang Hao the screenshot I just managed to grab quickly and told her to eat first before reading it. All I hope is that Chinjadi doesn't come back. That would be the best possible luck for us. I couldn't agree more. 6. Even though we no longer share a dorm room with Chinjadi, but since we share the same class schedule and are in the same class, so we can still see each other most of the time, I'm almost out of money, and every time we eat, it's me who pays. Chinjadi's voice rang in my ears, tinged with the sob of grievance. By now, quite a crowd had gathered around the two of them, eager to watch the spectacle. Indians don't speak Mandarin very well yet, but I got the general idea. My money is still in my account, I just can't be bothered to withdraw it. What's the big deal if I spend a bit of yours? When I get back to India, I'll pay you back 10 or 100 times over. Embarrassed by the crowd of onlookers, the Indian man pulled Chinjadi and hurried out. Are you serious? Chinjadi was clearly skeptical as well. I swear by my high caste Brahmin status that I will never deceive you. I am of royal blood, and you will soon be a princess. The Indian man rolled his eyes noticeably but still spoke patiently. You're my absolute favorite. Chinjadi, my roommate, threw herself into the Indian man's arms. His affected mannerisms made even the onlookers instinctively step back. The Indian's promise just now gave my roommate a sense of superiority. What are you staring at? Keep looking, and you'll never become princesses either. In the old days, low-born wretches like you would have knelt before me. You're only lucky you live in better times now. Let me tell you, with looks like yours, my husband wouldn't take a second glance even if he were blind. Chinjadi pointed at the few girls watching. At that moment, those girls couldn't help muttering under their breath, psycho, and then walked away. Just watching the fun can get you seriously hurt. Chinjadi's excitement isn't as fun to watch as you'd think. Seeing the female onlookers leave, Chinjadi became even more smug. Now you know you're ugly, don't you? If you know you're ugly, get more plastic surgery. That way, ugly people won't stir up trouble, unless you get plastic surgery, you're not even fit to shine my shoes." Upon hearing these words, the Indian still held his roommate tightly, judging by the expression. There's even a hint of approval. "Those two are total lunatics." Zhang Hao and I quickly walked away. 7. Zhang Hao and I walked quickly with our heads down. Firstly, to avoid Chen Jiaodi discovering the two of us every day. Secondly, it's also not good for onlookers to find out that we know Chen Jiaodi. Little did I expect that Zhang Hao and I would have barely 2 days of good times. Chen Jiaodi actually moved back. Seeing Chen Jiaodi loaded with bags and bundles, Zhang Hao said irritably, "Aren't you living with your high-caste boyfriend? Why are you back? I paid for my accommodation, so I can come back whenever I want. What's it to you?" Chen Jiaodi shot back without any courtesy. Then Chen Jiaodi looked Zhang Hao up and down and said, dressing so provocatively, "Are you trying to seduce my boyfriend?" Zhang Hao's face turned red with anger. It's a pity that I usually never curse, so my retort was nothing but dry and feeble. "Who wants to seduce your boyfriend? Let me tell you, a lowlife like you is only fit to shine my shoes. You'd better start sucking up to me now. Once I'm married and settled in India, I might consider letting you be my maid." Chen Jiaodi's tone was condescending. Zhang Hao was so furious that his face twisted in anger. When he turned around and saw me, he finally couldn't hold back his tears. "Now that Chen Jiaodi is back, we have to put up with that smell of curry mixed with stink again." And now Chen Jiaodi is dead set on marrying into India. That habit of eating with the left hand while wiping with the right was being brazenly practiced in the dormitory. Zhang Hao and I aren't exactly neat freaks, but we really can't stand having this kind of living habit in our dorm room. We had no choice but to go back to the counselor and ask for a room reassignment. Upon learning that the two of us were moving out, Chen Jiaodi decided to live alone in a single dormitory. She became even more smug. On the day we moved out, our roommate Chen Jiaodi was still making sarcastic remarks on the sidelines. "You really don't know how to seize the opportunities given to you. You lowly creatures will never again have the chance to share the same space as the princess. It's so degrading to be stuck as a low-caste person for life. I'm going to be a princess wearing a crown one day." "Oh. Right, you've never even seen what a crown looks like, have you? Well, your parents are just ordinary workers. If they were in India, they'd be the lowest caste, Dalits, you know, the untouchables. Do you even know what that means? Oh, you have no idea. You born plebeians don't even realize how low you are. Poor things, you were born as untouchables, unlike me, who used my beauty to snag an Indian boyfriend and completely turn my life around." Zhang Hao and I simply pretended not to hear Chen Jiaodi's repeated remarks. It's really bad luck for us to end up with such a roommate. Just before leaving, my roommate Zhang Hao finally couldn't hold it in any longer. "We may be pitiful, but not as pitiful as you. Doesn't feel too good to grab shit with your bare hands, does it?" In an instant, Chen Jiaodi was about to rush over and hit Zhang Hao, but I stopped her with a firm hand. Chen Jiaodi couldn't beat both me and Zhang Hao no matter what, so she had no choice but to storm off in anger. 6. The dormitory beds are extremely tight because the semester has just started. Although we switched dorm rooms, our new one is just across the hallway from our old one, so I still run into Chen Jiaodi every day, no matter what. What's more, since we're in the same class, we see each other even more often. However, neither of them felt like talking. Zhang Hao, his roommate, even went so far as to delete Chen Jiaodi directly from his phone. If it weren't for the fact that the class group chat couldn't be left, Zhang Hao would probably have deleted that contact too, just to avoid Chen Jiaodi. After the previous post about the high-caste Indian went viral online, I found that my roommate Chen Jiaodi isn't the only girl who wants to be with an Indian guy. Most girls still find dark-skinned Indians off-putting, but a small minority, like my roommate, still hope to marry an Indian and completely change their fate as a result. These Indian exchange students at our school gradually got carried away by the attention from those girls. The Indian people do have some good qualities, like staying with their roommate when she's in class. Other classes in session were forced to eat enough dog food. Of course, I've also had my fair share of smells. That day, after class, we were just about to go back to the dormitory. Then I noticed that the Indian guy didn't seem to be leaving. Instead, he was talking to the girl in front of him. That girl was also a classmate of ours, named Jiang Wanning. Not only does she have excellent grades, but her parents are also in business. Just at our school gate, there are 2 shops owned by their family. She's also one of the best-looking people in our school. With Jiang Wanning's exceptional qualities, how could she possibly fancy an Indian man who's even shorter than her? Sure enough, Jiang Wanning acted as if she hadn't seen the Indian exchange student at all. "Miss, didn't you hear me just now? I said, can we get to know each other?" Chinjati's boyfriend asked again, unwilling to give up. Then he placed his hand over Jiang Waning's. Jiang Waning jerked away as if shocked, removing the dark hand from her body. The Indian didn't expect to be refused, reached out directly to grab Jiang Waning unexpectedly. Jiang Waning gave him a hard slap across the face. The Indians became even more indignant, so he reached out and pulled Jiang Waning over entirely. Jiang Waning struggled desperately, and nearby classmates came over to help pull the Indian man away entirely. Meanwhile, my roommate Chinjati stood nearby, her face ashen. This is not over yet. Jiang Waning was very dissatisfied with that Indian. They actually reported the matter to the school while simultaneously having their family put pressure on the school. As public opinion intensified, the school had no choice but to step in, demanding that the Indian man provide an explanation and apologize to Jiang Waning. I was gossiping with my classmates when I found out about this. According to a senior who happened to be in the principal's office, that Indian guy not only apologized but even promised that when he returns to India, he could make Jiang Waning his princess. Completely ignoring Chinjati beside him, Jiang Waning was furious, feeling that this was an insult to her. I gave that Indian a good scolding right then and there, and along with her, Chinjati beside her. She was cursed for being blind to have chosen such a man. Chinjati was already in tears on the sidelines, and then had to follow her boyfriend in, apologizing to Jiang Waning. This matter has blown up enormously. Chinjati became the center of this incident. Her crying meme even went viral among us students. She also gained a nickname. It's called the Enduring First Wife. 7. Although I didn't join those people in calling her by her nickname, deep down I wholeheartedly agreed. How is she any different now from those feudal first wives of ancient times? There might still be a slight difference. It's just that the main wives didn't have to subsidize their families, but she did. I couldn't help but laugh at the thought. My roommate Zhang Hao asked me why I was laughing. Then she couldn't help but laugh too. Suddenly, a man who looked to be in his 50s or 60s appeared in our dormitory. Excuse me, which room is Chinjati's dormitory in? I exchanged glances with my other roommates, but in the end, I was the one who spoke up first. Who are you? What do you want with her? It's not that I'm overly cautious, I'm just worried that Chinjati is up to some tricks again. I'm her mother, I need to see her about something, said the woman, who looked to be in her 40s or 50s. Then I pointed to the dormitory across the way. The woman headed straight for the other dorm room. He didn't even say thank you. The way she looked at that moment truly convinced me that she was Chinjati's mother. After all, Chinjati was just as classless as her. It didn't take long for me to witness the power of rural women, a torrent of profanity that even a closed door couldn't hold back. I fucking pay your tuition so you can come to school to find men. How fucking pathetic are you, paying some random guy outside to be with you? We have a younger brother to raise at home, but you'd rather be a cheap slut keeping some other man than save the family some money. If I'd known you'd turn out like this, I should have flushed you down the toilet the moment you were born, to spare myself an unfilial daughter like you. What are you crying for, you slut? How dare you cry? I'll beat you to death. You worthless waste of money, you worthless slut, throwing yourself at some random man, and they still let you study. Get your ass back home right now. So you like men, huh? When you get back, I'll find you 10 or 8 of them to keep you satisfied. Slap 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 you. You wanna cry again, motherfucker? Try it. I faintly heard crying over there. It must be Chinjati. Every now and then, the middle-aged woman's scolding could still be heard. The dormitory was eerily quiet. No one even dared to breathe loudly. Although we knew Chinjati's family was not well off, we never imagined it was this bad. She actually has a mother like that. I think I finally understand why Chinjati was so determined to marry that Indian guy in her past life. I don't know how long it had been. The curses finally stopped. The middle-aged woman left. Chinjati also walked out of the dormitory, her face flushed red, the faint outline of a slap mark on her face, and the corner of her mouth was even split open. She kept her head down, avoiding eye contact with any of her classmates. Ever since she started dating that Indian guy, her reputation in the dorm has taken a nosedive, and no one talks to her anymore. In the days that followed, I still often saw Chinjati together with her Indian boyfriend. Chinjati looked increasingly haggard, but she must have managed to persuade her mother. After what happened with Jiang Waning last time, that Indian somehow triggered some weird switch even more brazenly, right in front of my roommate Chinjati. He started hitting on other girls, and my roommate Chinjati, just like the nickname her classmates had given her, simply pretended not to see it. She even took the initiative to serve meals to her Indian boyfriend and the girl he was flirting with. 8. Why are you eating here? Chinjati looked around the cafeteria and saw there were no seats left, So she had no choice but to sit down next to me and Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao couldn't stand her tone any longer and shot back sarcastically, "The cafeteria isn't your private property, so why can't I come here, baby? It's okay, let's just sit right here." Chinjati's Indian boyfriend comforted her. Chinjati forced a reluctant smile, then placed the prepared meal in front of her. The smell of curry mixed with that stench spread through the air. Suddenly, I lost my appetite completely. Zhang Hao and I exchanged wry smiles and decided to grab something decent to eat when we got back to the dorm, but to our surprise, just as we were about to leave, that Indian guy called out to us, "Hey, you two pretty ladies, why not stay and eat with us?" Meeting his fate, his strange accent, paired with his not-so-handsome features. "No." Zhang Hao rolled her eyes in annoyance. "Meng, let's go, ladies, if you'd like to stay, this meal's on me. How about it, you two beauties?" The Indian guy spoke up again. Before I could even refuse this time, I heard my roommate Chinjati let out a hysterical scream. "You're treating, where do you get the money? Isn't it just my money you're spending? Do you know how my mom scolded me? A desperate slut who throws herself at men and gets used up. You're so rich, why don't you pay for your own damn meals, always putting on a show in front of me, but can't even pull a single cent out of your pocket, a pathetic man who lives off a woman." Slap. The Indian guy actually just slapped his roommate right across the face. Zhang Hao and I saw things going south and got out of there fast. Before leaving, he also called the security guard at the entrance for her. I can pretty much guess what the result will be because I still see Chinjati hanging out with that Indian guy every day. We go to school and attend classes together. Even Zhang Hao couldn't stand it anymore. That Indian guy is way out of line. First of all, it's not like girls should be the ones paying. And when she treated us to dinner, he actually made Chinjati foot the bill. I couldn't help but start explaining Indian customs to my roommate Zhang Hao. That's exactly it. Women not only have to endure beatings, grievances, and hard labor, but they also have to cough up money. Even paying for their men to take mistresses and side pieces. Refusing to search also constitutes a violation of the law. My roommate Zhang Hao couldn't help but widen his eyes. Then he cursed, "Holy shit." 9. Time passes by, not slowly. Chinjati wasn't entirely without improvement ever since I got beaten up last time. Although she still spends money on her Indian boyfriend, she secretly adds every WeChat contact in his phone. Then, using vicious language, they forced the girl to give up on being with her Indian boyfriend. As a result, the Indian guy really ended up with only my roommate by his side. I suddenly came across a post on Chinjati's Moments, finally pregnant, accompanied by a picture of a pregnancy test with 2 lines. For a moment, I didn't know whether to feel sorry for her or wish her happiness. At the same time, Zhang Hao also came across this post on his Moments. Meng, do you think Chinjati is going to drop out of school to have a baby?" Zhang Hao held up his phone in front of me. "I think so." Then we exchanged a glance, both of us feeling a mix of emotions. If at first the two of us simply disliked Chinjati, then later, after I saw the outrageous things her Indian boyfriend did, our feelings toward her turned into something closer to sympathy. Spending his girlfriend's money to find a new girlfriend, and he even hit Chinjati. But with a family like Chinjati's, what choice did she have? I thought of Chinjati's mother, who could curse her own biological daughter with such venomous words. Now giving Chinjati an allowance is nothing more than hoping she can become an Indian princess so that I can bask in her glory. What a family! Chinjati's obsession with marrying into India to become a princess stems from the deep seated inferiority within her. 10. After having a child, Chinjati walked around with her nose in the air wherever she went. "I'm carrying the prince's child. My son will inherit the royal family in the future. You lowlifes can only breathe the same air as me for now. Don't you realize this is your honor? Ever seen a crown? I bet you've never seen clothes made of gold either, but you won't get the chance to wear them anyway." The little sympathy I had for Chinjati was completely drained by her remarks. The other students were also terrified of bumping into her or the precious prince she carried in her womb. He wanted to be as far away from her as possible. Indians show no sign of happiness when they have a child, not even a hint of a father's joy. She became increasingly rude towards her roommate, Chinjati. I often see him ordering his roommate to fetch meals and do laundry for him in a very nasty tone. That batch, reeking of a heavy mix of curry and stench, was taken to the laundry room. A female classmate couldn't help but retch twice. "What are you pretending for? Ordinary people can't even catch a glimpse of the prince's clothes. It's only because you're sharing a dorm with me now that you get to see them. If we were in India, people like you, untouchables, would only be fit to scrub my toilet." Chinjati washed the clothes in her hands with a smug look on her face. Indians aren't exactly known for being clean. the clothes were practically dripping with dirty water, but Chinjadi was washing them with a blissful look on her face. From time to time, she gently stroked her belly, which had not yet fully rounded. The girl tactfully left the laundry room. No one went to the laundry room afterward, just waiting for the future princess to finish washing clothes before going in to freshen up. Within just a couple of days, Chinjadi was heard cursing in the hallway. "You're going to tell the dorm matron over something so trivial? I'm just washing a couple of clothes in the laundry room. What's the big deal? How is that bothering you? Aren't you afraid of karma for bullying the future princess like this? Once my son is born, I'll have him order you to scrub toilets every single day." Still, no one paid her any attention. After Chinjadi's shady moves, all the girls began to ostracize her on their own. No one ever spoke a single word to her again. Although we no longer care about Chinjadi's matters, little did she know that her legendary journey with that Indian was far from over. I don't know what set it off that day. The Indians beat Chinjadi up again. In the end, a kind-hearted classmate took Chinjadi to the hospital and even covered the medical expenses. Unexpectedly, after Chinjadi was discharged from the hospital, she blamed that classmate for meddling in her business. "I was perfectly fine, and yet I made her spend so much money." But the doctors all said that if Chinjadi had arrived any later, she might have lost the baby. The classmate who covered the medical expenses isn't exactly short of that amount of money. After this incident, no one ever paid any attention to Chinjadi again. 2 weeks later, Chinjadi posted a status on her moments. "I'm finally going to India with my husband. I wonder what my mother-in-law thinks of me. Will they accept their daughter-in-law? It's fine if they don't accept me. I'm already pregnant with their family's first legitimate grandson." The next time I heard from Chinjadi was 5 months later. "I was sleeping when a phone call woke me up. I was in the middle of reviewing my final exam materials when I, burning with rage, simply hung up the phone on them. To my surprise, the phone kept ringing insistently, so I had no choice but to answer it again. "Meng Meng, please, help me. Can you send me $1,000? I need to get back home." Chinjadi's voice was hoarse and choked with tears. "Aren't you supposed to be off in India being a princess?" I asked, somewhat puzzled. With Chinjadi's personality, how could she ever give up all that wealth and luxury in India to come back? And her mother is still the same as ever. Plus she has a younger brother to take care of. "Meng Meng, I was wrong. I shouldn't have gone to India. My boyfriend is just a pervert. He already has a wife here, more than a dozen children, and 7 concubines. His wife wouldn't let me eat, made me scrub the floor on my knees every day, and put me through all kinds of torment. Meng Meng, I'm begging you, please send me some money. I want to come back." I let out a soft "Oh, I see, then you really shouldn't go to India." Meng Meng, I regret it. I really, truly regret it." Chinjadi sobbed. "So what will you do after you come back?" I asked softly. "After I get back, just find a man to marry. I still owe my parents a huge sum of money." Chinjadi sobbed even harder. "You poor thing, woo-woo. I never thought you'd be so good to me." "Meng Meng," Chinjadi said, deeply moved. I hung up the phone. The next day, the phone rang again. "Meng Meng, why haven't you transferred me the money?" Chinjadi's tone was accusatory right from the start. "I never agreed to transfer you any money." I hung up the phone, expressionless. Story 2. I'm together with the person who once committed campus violence against me 3 years ago. I earnestly begged Hogan to let me go. He stepped on my hand and looked down on me, calling me a piece of trash. 3 years later, he knelt on the ground, crying and begging me not to leave him. I returned that same sentence to him. When I was cornered by the campus bully, I sent the last message to my online dating partner, and then the bully's phone rang. Hogan took out his phone, and the cold hostility in his eyes instantly dissipated, replaced by a gentle look. "Darling Natalie, I'm busy, wait for me for a while." Just after he sent the message, my phone vibrated slightly in an almost imperceptible way. It was exactly the special notification sound of my online dating partner. I looked at him in disbelief. He stood under the street lamp, and the perfect outline of his side face and his delicate and cold features were exactly the same as the Hogan I was familiar with, but the way he held a cigarette in his mouth, looking sinister and fierce, was completely different from the graceful young man in the photo. For a moment, I couldn't tell whether he was my boyfriend or Alice's school bully boyfriend. Hogan, it's this bitch who scratched my bag. She's jealous of me because she can't afford one herself. Poor people always make trouble." Alice pointed at me viciously, her eyes full of pride. I didn't damage Alice's bag that day." Alice slapped me for no reason. When she tried to hit me again, I dodged, and she fell down because of missing me. scraping her newly bought bag which cost $200,000. She shouted at me to compensate for it. Since I couldn't afford it, she threatened to make me wait, saying that her boyfriend Hogan would deal with me. I knew about Hogan. He was from a wealthy family, and his family's business was big. It was said that he had some connections in the underworld. He was ruthless in fights, cold-blooded, and not afraid of death. People were afraid of him and called him the devil, but I couldn't imagine that my well-behaved and kind online dating partner was actually the same person as the devilish school bully. Hogan stood up and walked towards me step by step. The warm yellow light shone on him, but his eyes were icy cold without a trace of warmth. His tall figure loomed over me. I instinctively clenched my fingers, and then heard him speak indifferently. Two choices, either compensate or kneel down and apologize. His indifferent and disdainful attitude was completely different from the gentle and affectionate Hogan on the phone. I couldn't tell what I felt in my heart. At that moment, it seemed that my mind went blank. Defying the odds, I looked at him and said, "Do you believe that I didn't damage her bag?" Hogan stared at me for a while, and then suddenly sneered disdainfully, unappreciative. He turned around, his voice full of impatience. "Then teach her a lesson." The blood in my body instantly froze, and my ears seemed to go deaf. His lackeys forced me to kneel down, slapped me frantically, pulled up my clothes, and kicked my stomach. I was in so much pain that I couldn't even cry out. Hogan leaned against the nearby wall as if it had nothing to do with him, staring at the phone screen with a gentle smile, as if waiting for someone's message. I curled up into a ball and endured the beatings. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. The consequence of being beaten by several adult men was that I couldn't get up for a long time. Two of my teeth were knocked out, and the blood I spat stained my collar red. I lay on the ground like a dead fish for a full 3 hours before I had the strength to get up and go home. I didn't dare to tell my parents about my injuries. They were honest rural people, even though they worked hard in City A. They could only barely make a living. Come to think of it, I was bullied just because I was from the countryside. Their words like country bumpkin, poor and despicable thing, even if you were sold, you couldn't afford to compensate, stabbed at my heart. Since then, I've known that the poor don't deserve dignity and can only be trampled into the mud. I secretly applied medicine by myself. It really hurt. My phone kept ringing with the special notification sound. All messages from my dear Hogan. "Baby Natalie, have you got home? It's about time you should be home. Why haven't you replied yet?" Did Hogan do something to make baby angry? Obviously, it was still a loving and gentle tone, but I felt a bit of disgust. I typed line after line of words, but deleted them all repeatedly. In the end, I just replied to him, "Did you just go to the library tonight?" There was a momentary pause on his side, and he quickly replied, "Yeah, I studied hard today too." As if to prove it, he also sent a photo taken in the library. The young man in the photo was wearing a white shirt, with a sunny smile on his face, standing beside the bookshelf. He looked gentle and refined, but all of this was a false illusion. I was glad that I hadn't shown him my photo and that he hadn't recognized me, which gave me the opportunity to see the real him. Afraid that missing classes would make me fall behind in my studies, I didn't dare to ask for leave. After the morning self-study class ended, I was dragged to the girls' restroom by Alice. She led a group of girls and cornered me at the sink. "Alice, how dare you still come to school? TSK. Wasn't the beating last night hard enough? Haha, maybe she's thick-skinned. She's so rustic and ugly. If she wasn't so thick-skinned, she would have died long ago. No wonder her name is Alice, summer pig. She's as thick-skinned and rough as a pig." The girls beside her said all kinds of insulting and dirty words. A ladle of sewage from the toilet was poured over my head, flowing from my hair to my collar. The stinky and damp feeling made me want to vomit. TSK. "Alice, you're really as ugly and dirty as a pig." She grabbed my hair and slapped me twice. Then she washed her hands, feeling they were dirty, and then walked out of the restroom. I slid down the wall of the restroom and slumped on the ground, burying my face in my knees and trying to hold back my tears. Alice locked me in the restroom for the whole morning. It wasn't until school was over at noon that someone let me out. I thought it should be over like this, but Alice didn't stop there. In the following days, my desk was always messed up by them, and my homework always disappeared inexplicably. After several times, the teacher no longer believed me. Alice haunted every corner where I appeared, taking pleasure in embarrassing me. During the evening self-study, I studied in the library for a long time before preparing to go home, just to avoid Alice. However, Alice didn't leave. She led a group of people and blocked me at the door. She knocked over my cup, With a loud snap, all the coffee that I used to refresh myself splashed onto my legs. The newly changed white pants were immediately stained. I looked at her angrily. Just as I was about to speak, I saw Hogan casting a warning look at me. Hogan was standing beside her, with a cigarette in his mouth and a look of disdain in his eyes. Tisk, Alice, are you not convinced? Alice pushed me to the ground. I just happened to fall sitting on the coffee stain that had been knocked over on the ground. The smell mixed with the earthy smell made me feel nauseous. Her lackeys burst into laughter when they saw this scene, mocking me as a pig that had rolled in swill. They even forced me to drink the coffee juice on the ground when my face was only a few centimeters away from the ground. The librarian who came to lock the door saw this scene. What are you all doing? Only then did Alice and one of her lackeys let go of me. They smiled playfully at the librarian and said, we're playing truth or dare with Alice. Yeah, Alice lost and was going to challenge herself to drink the coffee on the ground. No, it's not like that. I quickly shook my head and looked at the librarian pleadingly. Teacher, they forced me. The librarian frowned. Just as he was about to speak, Alice immediately smiled obsequiously and said, Teacher, ignore her. She's just saying that to avoid punishment. Alice, don't be a sore loser. If you lose, you lose. Why are you complaining to the teacher? Alice deliberately distorted the truth and shifted all the blame onto me. Her lackeys also chimed in beside her. Yeah, Alice, you're being too petty. It's just a game. You don't have to report it to the teacher just because you don't want to be punished. There were so many of them and they all had the same story. Sure enough, the librarian believed them. He looked at me with a straight face and then said to Alice, all right, just study hard at school. Don't do these useless things. The librarian left. Obviously, he didn't want to get involved in this matter. Alice looked down at me from above and said triumphantly, Alice, see, they're all on my side. No one will believe you. It's no use for you to report to the teacher. I have 100 ways to avoid punishment, but you're not so lucky. My heart was like dead ashes, and I didn't even hear what they said later. I sat at the door for a long time, until the lights on campus went out. It wasn't until the patrolling security guard kept calling my name that I realized I had been sitting on the cold ground full of coffee juice, lost in thought for a long time. I went home in a daze. My mother was slamming the dishwashing basin. You're already so old but you don't know how to pay attention to hygiene. You got your clothes so dirty, and I don't have money to buy you new clothes. You don't study hard but instead take the wrong path of learning to draw. It costs twice as much to support you. What a sin. Why can't you be like your cousin in the countryside? She's diligent and sensible. I was already used to my mother's complaints and had long been numb, but today I had an urge to cry. I ignored her and locked myself in the room directly. My phone kept ringing. It was Hogan sending me messages. Natalie, have you finished the evening self-study? Reply to me quickly, baby. Did I do something wrong? You've been so cold these 2 days. Don't ignore me. I'll be sad. Would he be sad? Yeah, he would be sad, although Hogan and I were only in an online relationship. I knew very well how much he couldn't live without me. He wanted to chat with me around the clock. He lacked love since he was a child and was insecure. The problems in his original family shrouded his childhood in gloom. Since his mother passed away, he had become dark and negative. I happened to appear at that time and accompanied him through those difficult days. Since then, he was like a puppy showing its belly, offering his whole heart to me. He once said, baby, you're the only light in my life. Baby, I'm getting better for you. I'm studying hard, eating properly, and becoming the graceful young man you like. Baby, I love you the most. Will you stay with me always? Thinking of what he said and recalling the scene of him helping Alice bully me, my fingertips were trembling. Hogan, what would you do if someone bullied you? I asked him. Of course, I'd get revenge and make them suffer. Why did Natalie suddenly ask this? Is someone bullying you? Who is it? I'll avenge you. It's nothing. There's no need. Hogan, I have a way to make those who bullied me suffer. In the art class, Alice passed by my desk, knocked over my paint bucket, and tore up my painting. Alice, do you think someone as poor and lowly as you deserves to learn to draw? Learning art is so expensive. Can your family afford it? She left with her fingers raised triumphantly. I silently cleaned up the paint. Half of the paint had spilled and it was almost empty. The canvas and other tools were also stained with paint. I sealed the remaining paint and then took the dirty paintbrushes to the restroom and washed the paint off little by little. I felt that there was a gaze constantly fixed on me. I looked back and it was Hogan. He leaned against the wall, with a cigarette in his mouth. His eyes looking at me were full of mockery and disdain, as if he was looking at a clown. I clenched the paintbrush tightly and saw that he had no intention of leaving. When I was about to go out of the restroom, he blocked me in the corner. Go. And apologize to Alice tomorrow. His tone was beyond doubt, and his eyes were full of threats. But I'm not wrong. I didn't damage her bag. I mustered up the courage to meet his gaze. The next second, the burning cigarette butt was directly pressed onto my arm. Stop talking that useless crap. It's just a $200,000 bag. Just an apology. Don't be ungrateful. I don't have much patience. If you don't apologize, you know the consequences. Hogan left. I covered the burned area, and big tears fell down when I got home in the evening. My mother kept nagging. She advised me to give up learning art. She said that a family like ours couldn't afford my dream in the end. My father told her to stop talking so much. Before going to bed, my father came to me and told me to just focus on studying hard. The family would definitely support me in learning art. Looking at my father's white hair, although he wasn't very old, and his artificial eye that was difficult to use, I felt very sad when my father was a child. He was blinded in one eye by a naughty child in the same village. He had to put in an artificial eye. Since then, it would be sour and uncomfortable on rainy or cloudy days or when he was overworked. Even so, he still had to bear the burden of the family. Father, I will work part-time to support myself. Believe me, I can earn money soon. My father shook his head gratifyingly and said that I didn't need to worry. Then he asked me, you haven't been in a good state these 2 days. Did something happen at school? I shook my head. He said, if you're being bullied, you must tell us at home. I nodded and told him not to worry. They were already working so hard and shouldn't have to worry about me. Over the years, I've grown up stubbornly and alone. I always have my own way to solve problems. Alice thought I was a soft persimmon that could be kneaded at will, but just because I'm poor, should I swallow my anger after being bullied? When Alice demanded $200,000 from me, I got the video of her falling and scraping her bag by herself at that time. After all, a poor person like me is most afraid of being falsely accused. I kept the scars in the alley and the toilet as well as some evidence, and I also recorded the surveillance footage at the entrance of the library. I haven't replied much to Hogan these days. He started bombarding me with messages, and there are already more than 99 unread messages. I clicked on them and read them one by one. Natalie, what are you busy with? You're so busy that you're ignoring Hogan. Natalie, did I do something wrong? Sorry, baby, if I did something wrong, please tell me. I'll change it. Don't ignore me. Natalie, are you going to leave me? After reading the last message, I knew that Hogan was panicking. Hogan, it turns out that you can really be sad. Don't worry, the real thing that will make you sad is yet to come. Before I finished reading the messages, Hogan started bombarding me with phone calls. I didn't answer but replied with a message instead. I'm not leaving. Hogan, really? Hogan obviously didn't believe it. He lacked a great deal of security. Then Natalie, promise me you won't ignore me in the future. Okay, my heart will ache. My fingertips trembled. After a moment of silence, I replied, okay. Hogan's tone became cheerful again. Natalie is the best. Natalie, I want to see you as soon as possible. Can I come to find you? Hogan and I agreed to meet after the college entrance examination, but now he clearly can't wait. Perhaps he has sensed that I'm getting farther and farther away from him. Natalie, you said you would always stay with me. You won't break your promise, right? I could hear the caution and the feeling of being afraid of losing in his tone. A bit of sourness welled up in my heart. I had already made up my mind to make him sad, but I was actually wavering a little. I asked him, Hogan, you said you would gradually become a better person for me, right? Yeah, Natalie, I'm trying my best. He replied very firmly. It was as if the person who oppressed, bullied, and resorted to violence casually wasn't him. He really had two different sides. Then you must be a just and kind person. At least, you can't do bad things. I replied to him, Hogan, I've given you a chance. You have to keep your word. Alice's persecution of me hadn't ended yet. In order to make me apologize, she began to use public opinion. She posted the matter of me damaging her bag on the campus forum. In an instant, she changed from the perpetrator to the victim. She pretended to be pitiful and wronged, saying that she just wanted an apology from me. Standing on the side of justice, she accused me, saying that since I was poor, I shouldn't covet other people's luxury goods. My vanity would only cause a burden on my family. She said that I was not sensible and didn't know how to understand my parents. Her kindness and justice won the sympathy of everyone. All of a sudden, there were voices scolding me on the internet. If you're poor, don't cause trouble. This is a case of if you can't get it, then destroy it. So vicious. This Alice really disgusts me. Yeah, the bitch should get out of school. I heard that Alice's boyfriend Hogan beat her up a few days ago. Good for him. Getting beaten once is worth $200,000. I'd be willing to take a beating too. Alice must apologize. under the post where the condemnation of me was the most intense. I uploaded the video of Alice falling down by herself, scratching her own bag, and wrongly accusing me. The people who were scolding me fell silent instantly. I had originally planned to post this video today. Alice's exposure was exactly what I wanted, giving me a chance to slap her in the face. After posting these, I went to school feeling relieved. Many classmates comforted me, and some even apologized to me. Sorry, Alice, I insulted you on the forum without figuring out the situation. I didn't expect that you were framed. The scolding on the forum also turned towards Alice. There were always more just people. Alice suddenly became the target of public criticism, and almost everyone was condemning her. She lost all her face completely. I knew she wouldn't let it go easily. However, this time, would Hogan still help her? He promised me that he would be a kind and just person and that he wouldn't do bad things anymore. I wasn't sure if he could keep his promise. When Hogan blocked me in the alley with a group of people again, I got the answer. Alice stood beside Hogan, pointing at me and shouting angrily, "Alice, you're courting death, aren't you? How dare you plot against me, you little bitch." I ignored her, who was acting fiercely, and instead focused my gaze on Hogan. "Hogan, you've seen the video online, right? I'm innocent." I was afraid that he didn't know, and I was afraid that he was deceived by Alice. I had specifically pushed that video to him before to ensure that he would see it. He didn't look at me. He casually threw away the cigarette butt and said indifferently, "So what if I saw it? I only know that you didn't do as I told you." The cold words coming out of his mouth were like thorns, piercing deeply into my heart. I laughed, almost laughing out tears. I shouldn't have had any expectations of him. Hogan was never the sunny young man beside the bookshelf. He had always been dark, selfish, and cold-blooded. How could I have forgotten that? He said he had changed for the better, but that was just an illusion he created for me. How could I have taken it seriously? "Alice, you still think Hogan will help you? You're dreaming. Hogan, teach this bitch a good lesson for me." I didn't know who pushed me, and I fell directly to the ground. Fists and kicks rained down. It hurt a lot, but I was also prepared to fight back. I took 2 spare mobile phones to record the audio and video, and sent them out as soon as they were recorded. These people were beating me and scolding me. However, I didn't expect that they would deliberately step on my hands. "Your hands are for painting, right? What a pity. Even if you get into college, your family can't afford it. How about we cripple your hands? Ha ha ha. No, painting is my dream. It has always been my dream." At this moment, I was really panicked. I pleaded and shouted Hogan's name. "Hogan, let me go. Please let me go." Hogan turned around. He glanced at me with a disdainful look, as if looking at trash. In an instant, I didn't know who stepped on my hand. The fingers are connected to the heart. I was in so much pain that I almost fainted. "Hogan, Hogan." My vision was blurry, and my voice became weak. "You promised me that you would gradually become a better person and turn into the person I like. You promised me that you wouldn't do." Before I could finish speaking, I saw Hogan's face suddenly change drastically. He almost shouted hysterically, "Stop it all." Hogan pushed through the crowd like a madman and came up to me. He squatted down tremblingly and looked at me with bloodshot eyes. "Natalie." Hogan looked at me with a complicated expression. He reached out his hand as if he wanted to touch me, but then he retracted it as if he thought of something. "Natalie, I didn't know it was you. I didn't mean to do it," he explained nervously and anxiously, his eyes full of pain and regret. I looked up and met his pained face. I gave a bitter smile and said, "Hogan, it hurts so much." After forcing myself to say this sentence, I saw Hogan's expression crumble as I expected. He punched the ground beside me and let out a heart-wrenching growl, his eyes as red as blood. "Hogan, we're breaking up." Before I could finish my sentence, he blocked my lips with his finger and stepped back. It seemed that he couldn't face it and turned around and ran away directly. I watched him flee in a hurry. What a coward. Can he just pretend nothing happened if he doesn't want to face it? Hogan asked a girl from the same class as me to send me to the hospital, and he secretly followed behind. After the examination in the hospital, the doctor said that my hand was fractured and I couldn't paint anymore. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. I tried to force a smile and softly said towards the place where Hogan was hiding, "Painting is my dream." I knew Hogan could hear me. Bang! It seemed that something broke. Hogan staggered away. I took out my phone and sent Hogan a message saying, "We're breaking up," and then blocked all his contact information. Goodbye, Hogan. The companionship that lasted nearly 5 years from the second year of junior high school to the third year of senior high school ended here. From now on, you're no longer my Hogan, you're Alice's boyfriend, the school bully Hogan, and the executioner who made it impossible for me to paint anymore. After coming out of the hospital, I packed up the painting tools from school. I shouldn't have had such delusions. I shouldn't have been disobedient. I shouldn't have added to the burden on my family. I gave up painting. Misfortunes never come singly. On that day, my father had a car accident. It turned out that he knew I was being bullied and was going to the police station with the evidence when he was hit by a car on the way. When he was brought back, his whole body was covered in blood, and the only eye that could be used was also full of blood. He was blind, completely blind, and could no longer see this beautiful and colorful world. It's all my fault. It's all because of me. I'm the one who hurt my father. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Mom and Dad. I shouldn't have been disobedient, and I shouldn't have insisted on learning to paint. Alice targeted me at the beginning, probably because my painting grades were better than hers and I took her first place. If I hadn't learned to paint, I wouldn't have been bullied by her, and my father wouldn't have had a car accident on the way to report the bullying for me. I decided to study finance. I want to study finance to make money, because this world only gives justice to the rich. After changing from an art student to an ordinary student, I studied desperately. I have to work harder than others to catch up with them in terms of grades. I have to work several times harder to be admitted to a top-ranked university's finance major as an ordinary student. Hogan disappeared for a week and then came to school to find me. At that time, I was walking out of the library, and he blocked my way. Natalie, can we not break up? His voice was hoarse and desolate, and he had lost a lot of weight. He was completely different from the arrogant and unruly Hogan before. If I don't agree, are you going to knock over my cup again like before and make me drink the coffee on the ground, or burn my arm with a cigarette? But Hogan's face changed drastically, and he couldn't say anything for a long time. I walked around him and left directly after I got home. Hogan added me on a secondary account. This was already the 99th time he added me on a secondary account. I was annoyed and accepted his friend request, hoping he would stop bothering me. Before I could finish typing, Hogan bombarded me with messages. Natalie, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. Natalie, please give me another chance, just one chance. Okay, you know I can't live without you. Please don't leave me. I can change anything. I re-edit the text and send it to him. Hogan, stop being despicable. Stop bothering me. Don't make me look down on you. After sending the messages, I blocked his secondary account directly. The next time I saw Hogan was during the public physical education class. The next day, Hogan waited for me on the playground for the whole afternoon. He asked a girl who was familiar with me to call me out. When I saw him, he was smoking a cigarette. As soon as he saw me coming, he extinguished the cigarette immediately. Natalie, as soon as he opened his mouth, his voice was extremely hoarse, as if his throat had been burned by boiling water. If you have something to say, say it. Natalie, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? He raised his eyes to look at me, and his dark eyes were filled with pain. It seemed that if I didn't forgive him, he couldn't live on. I sneered and corrected him. Hogan, why are you pretending to be so affectionate? Hogan looked at me with a stunned and puzzled expression. I smiled sarcastically and said, you still have Alice. No, it's not like that, Natalie, I can explain. Hogan said eagerly, Alice is a friend of my cousin. My cousin asked me to take care of her before she went abroad. I have no other relationship with her. I've never had anyone else except you. His tone was sincere and anxious, as if he was afraid that I wouldn't believe him. Seeing that he seemed to want to take out his heart for me to see, I just thought it was ridiculous and laughed until tears came out. But, Hogan, you've made my life miserable for Alice's sake. After the first art class, Alice started to make things difficult for me. She spoke ill of me behind my back, calling me poor and ugly. She put glue on my chair, deliberately destroyed my homework. Later, she even framed me, humiliated me, and ruined my hand. Hogan sided with Alice and bullied me together with her. The relationship between him and Alice didn't matter to me. I only knew that he had abetted the evildoer and destroyed my dream. Natalie, Hogan's face turned ashen, and his lips were trembling. After a moment, he clenched his fists tightly, as if he had made a decision. I'll make Alice pay the price. I shook my head. I had already made Alice pay the price. I didn't need Hogan to do anything for me. It would be best if he felt guilty and remorseful towards me forever. How the hell did you seduce Hogan? I was having lunch when Alice walked over, angry and furious. Her face was distorted, and she pointed at me arrogantly. Hogan got me expelled from school for you, you bitch. Do you know that? I paused slightly with the chopsticks in my hand. Expelled? What was Hogan doing? Was he trying to take revenge for me? I just found it ironic, seeing that I didn't say anything. Alice slammed the table. Alice, you bitch, talk to me. As she spoke, she knocked on the table excitedly, looking like a crazy woman. I looked up and smiled at her gently. Alice, don't you think you deserve to be expelled? She had bullied me, oppressed other classmates, and even done things that violated laws and disciplines. She should have been expelled a long time ago. She had just been relying on her family's wealth and background to act recklessly, and what was the result? Hogan had also used his money and background to crush her, using violence to fight violence. Those who humiliate others will always be humiliated by others. With Hogan's intervention, no other school would accept Alice anymore. Alice, do you know that I'm ruined? I can't go to college, and my life is completely destroyed. Are you happy now? Alice's eyes were bloodshot, and she glared at me angrily. There was a fire of jealousy and unwillingness burning in her eyes, as if she wanted to burn me to death. I ignored her and continued eating my meal. Alice angrily snatched my rice bowl. The soup in the bowl was still steaming, and she raised her hand to splash it on me. Try to move even a bit and see what happens. Hogan walked in front of her from behind me, looking gloomy and angry, like an azure from the cold hell. Alice's hand trembled, and the soup bowl fell directly to the ground. Natalie, are you okay? Hogan protected me and asked eagerly. I took 2 steps back and didn't say a word, but Alice became even angrier. Hogan, why are you siding with this bitch? What on earth does she have that's better than me? You actually got me expelled from school for her. Hogan frowned. Drag her away. His lackey beside him immediately went to pull Alice upon receiving the order. Alice clung to the table and refused to let go. I'm not leaving. What's wrong with me that I'm not as good as this bitch? Hogan, you can't treat me like this. For that bitch, you can't. Alice, I won't let you off. Smack. Hogan severely hit Alice's hand that was gripping the table with the bowl, shattering the bowl directly. Alice's hand was covered in blood. Ah! Alice let out a sharp and ear-piercing scream like a pig being slaughtered. Alice, try saying the word bitch again. Hogan glared at her with a murderous look. Drag her away now. Alice was dragged away while crying and shouting. Her arrogance was gone, and she was crying and begging for mercy. Hogan didn't show any mercy. This farce played out in the cafeteria and was witnessed by hundreds of students. Alice lost all her face. After Alice disappeared, Hogan got another serving of food and placed it in front of me. Natalie, I'm sorry. I won't let her hurt you again. I lowered my head, and my eyes were a bit red. When I looked up at him, I held back my tears. Hogan, it's too late. Hogan was a bit flustered. Natalie, don't be like this. I've already punished Alice. If you're still not satisfied, I can continue to suppress her. Seeing him explaining on his own, I couldn't help but laugh again. But you also bullied me. Pain gradually appeared in Hogan's eyes. He pursed his lips tightly and finally opened his mouth slightly. I understand. His tone was resolute, with a hint of determination. Come to the basketball court at this time tomorrow. I'll make you feel better. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left, as if he was afraid of hearing my refusal. I smiled sarcastically, looking at Hogan's hasty back. I felt a trace of pleasure from revenge. Natalie, I'll make you feel better. Be sure to come tomorrow. Hogan sent me messages on a secondary account again. I blocked him directly and then turned off my phone. I took out the review materials I borrowed from the library and started studying. From daytime until 1 a.m. Knock, knock. The door of the room was knocked on. My father, leaning on a crutch, groped his way in. He was being cautious and tentatively walking forward. Seeing this, my nose felt sour. I quickly covered my lips with my hand to keep myself from crying out. Natalie, don't stay up late. Study tomorrow. Your health is important. My father walked up to me and carefully placed a stack of books in front of me. Father bought a set of exercise books. I hope it can help you. By the dim light of the desk lamp, I saw that stack of review materials for Ching University that I had always wanted but didn't buy because it was too expensive. Tears welled up in my eyes and I couldn't hold them back anymore. I cried softly, Father, go and return it. This set of materials was very expensive, enough to cover my 1 month food expenses. Father must have saved the money for medicine to buy these materials. Silly child. Father gently hugged my head. Father has money. They gave a compensation of $100,000. Father won't sue anymore. I cried even louder. My father's eyes were damaged in the car accident, but the drunk driver who caused the accident could still roam freely just because he had money. For a family like ours, could we afford to fight a lawsuit? With the $100,000, my father could get treatment, and it could solve the living problems of our family. $100,000 was really valuable. After accepting the compensation, my father became much older. My mother also became silent and took on 2 more part-time jobs, and I stayed up all night. I swore to become a wealthy person and make those who bullied us pay the price. Hogan went to the basketball court as promised. He asked his brothers to throw basketballs at him hard. His brothers didn't dare to use too much force, so he became ruthless himself and hit his own head with the basketball again and again until his head was bleeding. A classmate came to me and showed me the video of Hogan going crazy on the playground. "Alice, go and see Hogan quickly. He's going to beat himself to death." I watched Hogan in the video, who finally couldn't stand up. Feeling no emotion, the classmate urged me, "Hogan won't listen to anyone's advice. If you don't go, someone will die." I went to the basketball court. "Natalie, you finally came." When Hogan saw me, he forced a smile with his bruised lips. "Is this enough to make you feel better?" He held my hand and picked up the ball, then quickly hit his head with it. Bang! Hogan fell down instantly. I gently shook my head. Hogan took out the lighter from his pocket, grabbed my hand, and turned on the fire. He pressed the blazing flame directly against his arm. "How about this?" Hogan endured the intense pain, and sweat began to form on his forehead. The smell of burning was very strong. My hand trembled, and the lighter fell to the ground immediately. "Can you forgive me now, Natalie?" I was very calm. "Hogan, I gave you a chance." Hogan was in great pain. "Natalie, I was wrong. I'll change. I promised you to be a kind person. I will never do bad things again. I won't fight anymore. And I won't bully others. I'll change everything. Please don't leave me." His tone was sobbing, as if he would burst into tears the next second. I smiled. "Hogan, it's useless. Hogan, no matter how much you try to make up for it, you can't change the fact that you made it impossible for me to paint anymore and indirectly caused my father to go completely blind. From now on, there will only be hatred between us. I heard that my little brother risked his life for you. TSK. I didn't expect him to end up like this." When Hogan's stepbrother Michael found me, the tablet in his hand was playing the video of Hogan hurting himself. There was a smug smile on his face. "What do you want from me?" I was very vigilant. "I think we might be able to cooperate." "Why should I cooperate with you?" "Because we have a common enemy." He took out a stack of materials and handed them to me. I was very surprised after reading them. In the following days, I still studied desperately and finally got into my dream university, choosing the finance major. On the day of filling out the college application, Hogan found me. "Natalie, why don't you study painting anymore? Don't be stubborn." "Okay, you can still paint. I can help you with other things." I curled my lips sarcastically. "Hogan, you're the one who ruined my hand." Hogan was stunned and couldn't say anything. Later, he came to persuade me again, but he still couldn't change my decision. A month before the start of the semester, I went to City S and rented a house near the school. Unexpectedly, Hogan chased after me and rented a house next door to mine. It was an old residential area with a very poor environment. I could see the disgust and discomfort in Hogan's eyes, but he still insisted on living here every day. "Natalie, I still can't live without you. What should I do?" Hogan started pestering me, even following me to school. He would go to my class to sit in on the lessons every day. Even though I ignored him, he would still give me snacks and drinks on his own and arrange roses under my teaching building. My classmates were envious of me, saying that I had such a handsome and wealthy person sincerely pursuing me and advising me to think carefully. I didn't explain, but later, it turned into them scolding me for being ungrateful and a pretentious bitch. When I found Hogan, he was very happy. "Natalie, you're here." I looked at him with disgust. "Hogan, stop pestering me. Don't affect my life anymore." The color drained from his face little by little. "Natalie." I turned around and left, and he followed me. I took a step, and he took a step. I turned down a small path, and he also turned down the small path. I turned around irritably. "Hogan, are you done?" "You." I suddenly noticed that his face was pale, and there was a knife stuck in his hand, piercing through the back of his hand directly. Blood was dripping down. I was completely stunned. "Natalie, is this enough to pay off what I owe you?" Hogan was in so much pain that cold sweat was breaking out. But he begged me desperately. "Natalie, please have pity on me and give me another chance." I smiled. "Hogan, when I begged you not to ruin my hand, did you have pity on me?" "What did you say at that time?" "You said that my family was poor and that even if I painted well, they couldn't afford to support me. You said." "Natalie, stop talking." He looked at me in pain. "Let me pay you back slowly. Let me pay you back with my whole life." "Okay." I ignored him and walked away quickly. I vaguely heard him say, "How much pain must she have been in at that time? I can't even bear this pain." How much pain must she have been in at that time? Have you considered it? Do you want to cooperate with me? Michael sent me a message again. Over the past year, Michael had been persistent in wanting to cooperate with me. He wanted to destroy Hogan and bring down his family. His father forced his mother and made his father die in an accident. His mother suffered from severe depression because of this and committed suicide after giving birth to him. Over the years, his father had ignored him. Michael had endured a lot of contempt and humiliation in his family and grew up with great difficulty. Later, his father married Hogan's mother and gave birth to Hogan, completely forgetting about Michael. Michael hated his father and everyone in his family. Alice, your father is relatively lucky. At least he wasn't killed in the accident. Michael was probably trying to stir up my hatred. I tightly clenched my fingers and finally made my decision. Okay, I'll cooperate with you, Natalie. The trees I planted for you 3 years ago are in bloom. Let's go and see them together. We agreed that no matter what happened, we would go to see the flowers together every year when they were in bloom. Do you remember? In the evening, Hogan sent me messages again, unilaterally not agreeing to the breakup. Natalie, the year my mother died, you promised me that you would always stay with me. Don't leave me, please. His words reminded me that his childhood was also unfortunate. After his parents got married, his father didn't change his habit of fooling around with women and often didn't go home. Hogan only had his mother. The death of his mother was a heavy blow to him. At that time, I promised that I would always stay with him. It's a pity. Just as I was about to reply to the message, Hogan sent me a voice call. I answered it this time. After thinking for a while, I said, okay. Hogan was very excited and didn't sleep all night, sending me all kinds of messages. 3 years ago, Hogan planted a field of crabapple trees for me in the garden on the back hill of his house. Now they were in full bloom. Our first official date was here. He carefully took my hand, and this time I didn't pull away. He was overjoyed and beamed with happiness. Natalie, shall we come back to see the flowers together at this time every year in the future? I smiled but didn't say anything, and he didn't dare to force me. Hogan became a very considerate boyfriend. He gave me gifts every day, accompanied me shopping and dining gently and patiently. When he saw children on the street, he even told me that he wanted a daughter. He would also help me with my studies and provide me with the best resources. He was never stingy with me. Even so, I would still lose my temper and bring up the past. Hogan would admit his mistakes and condemn himself over and over again, not even daring to speak loudly because whenever I was unhappy, he would be heartbroken. In my junior year of college, a senior fell for Hogan and tried to cause trouble for me. Hogan directly told her to get lost in front of her. Hogan, you really attract women. There was Alice in the past, and now there were senior and junior female students. Hogan quickly swore that he wouldn't talk to other women again. After that, he really deliberately kept a distance from other girls. I told him that he didn't need to be so overly cautious, and he said, Natalie, I only love you. Having you in my life is enough for me. You will always love me too, right? He was getting more and more deeply involved, revolving around me every day and doing everything he could to treat me well. I suddenly felt bored. It was time to end it. During the 2 years I was with him, I collected a lot of evidence of his father's crimes. With Michael's help, we successfully got his father sent to prison. Michael had avenged his hatred. After learning the truth, Hogan was really angry. There were red bloodshot eyes all around the corners of his eyes, and he asked me fiercely, why did you do this? Was I not good enough for you? He punched the wall behind me. Alice, you've never forgiven me, and you've never been with me sincerely, have you? Why are you so heartless to me? Hogan, your father deserved what he got, I said with a smile as I admired his collapsing expression. I had avenged my hatred as well. No, tell me exactly why. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes, as if he just wanted an answer. I slowly opened my mouth. The day my hand was ruined by you all, my father had a car accident. He wanted to call the police and seek justice for me, and your father, in order to stop him, hired a car to hit him. Hogan was also lucky. He waited until his father turned over a new leaf and received his father's indulgence and doting, but he had harmed my father. Hogan, my father will never be able to see colors again, and I will never forgive you. The blood in my body instantly froze, and my ears seemed to go deaf. After hearing my words, Hogan slumped down and squatted on the ground dejectedly. Natalie, I can never pay off what I owe you in this lifetime. What should I do? What on earth should I do? Later, I still studied hard and got the quota for studying abroad and being recommended for postgraduate studies. After his father went to prison, the shareholders of the G Corporation withdrew their shares, and things were in a complete mess. I was busy preparing to go abroad, and he was busy dealing with the company. We completely became strangers to each other. Before I left, he rushed to the airport and begged me to stay. 3 years ago, I earnestly begged Hogan to let me go, and he stepped on my hand and looked down on me, calling me a piece of trash. Now the situation had reversed, looking at him kneeling and begging me, so humble that he was in the dust. I looked at him with the same eyes as I would look at trash. After I went abroad, I blocked him again, and I didn't hear any news about him for the next few years. Once, his friend got in touch with me and said that he had been drinking heavily every day, being decadent and indulgent since I left, and asked me to persuade him. After thinking about it, I logged into the QQ account that I hadn't logged into for 3 years and found his profile picture. He was still in my only group. The profile picture was still the couple profile picture we used to have, and the name was also a couple name. I hadn't logged into this account since I broke up with Hogan. He had accompanied me through the long days of my youth. I had also loved him sincerely and passionately. Just because I had loved him so much, my hatred for him was even more thorough. I tried to make a voice call to him. I thought it wouldn't get through, but unexpectedly, he answered it quickly. He seemed incredulous. Natalie, I responded to him indifferently, but he was very happy holding the phone. He said he missed me, that he read our chat records every day, and that he was waiting for me to come back every day. He said he still hadn't given up. Natalie, can you come back when the crabapple flowers bloom this year? You promised me that no matter what happened, we would come here together when the flowers bloomed. My heart softened for no reason. Hogan, you don't owe me anything anymore. You should stand in the sun and live your own life. I told him to cheer up and not waste time getting himself stuck in the mire. Hogan asked me in an extremely joyful voice, Natalie, if I cheer up and live a good life, will you come back? I fell silent, but he seemed to have heard an imperial decree. Natalie, I will definitely live a good life. I'm waiting for you to come back. Every year after that, when the crabapple flowers bloomed, there was always a figure waiting under the tree.